So after months and months of us trying to get a BMW M car,
we finally got one, and it's not just any other M car. It's one of the rarest cars here in Australia. In fact, it's one of two.
so let's roll with the intro.
Okay, let's talk about engine, price and specs of this car. Let's start with the engine.
So this vehicle comes with a 3-liter incline 6, which produces 460 horsepower and 600 Newton meters of torque.
And yes, this is a carbon hood. It looks quite beautiful. Now the specs of this car. So there were 45 M4CS delivered here in Australia, and this is one of two in this exact spec, which is the black paint with the carbon ceramics. That's why this car is very rare. And the competition, we've got the C63S and the Audi RS5. We've tested both of them, so it'll be exciting to see what this car comes up with. Okay, now for the exterior of this car, this does get the facelift edition headlights, which is quite beautiful compared to the original version. And the hood of this car is from the M4 GTS. So the lineup of the M4 series is you get the normal M4, you get the M4 Competition, the M4CS and the M4 GTS. Now the GTS is the proper track version of the M4 line, and this is its younger brother, but honestly this is what you need. Now you also get an M4 badge here to let you know what car this is, and a carbon lip here. It is scratched. No, it isn't scratched, but it looks quite amazing. Okay, now here at the side you can quite literally say that the body lines of this car is quite beautiful. You do get 19-inch forged alloys at the front and 20 inches at the back. The roof is carbon fiber, and you also get the M side mirrors, which is quite beautiful with the space in here. And overall from the side it is one beautiful car. Now the M3 does get 4 doors, but this is the coupe version, and honestly I would prefer this because, well, I don't need 4 people in my car. Okay, now at the back, this is a fairly bit of design for me. Its tail light, now it is quite beautiful. I mean, look at that. It is a OLED tail light, and it does get a carbon fiber spoiler and a carbon fiber diffuser as well. It does have quad exhaust and the M badging on them. Now it is the M4CS exhaust. And finally, the rear bumper. It looks quite aggressive. Now overall design, I would have to say it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Okay, now starting off with the interior, as you can see straight away on the door, this is like pressed or compressed fiber material. And then we have the Alcantara wheel, which if you are going hard on like you're meant to in this vehicle, it's going to be quite nice. When you look at the dash has leather and it is stitched in, which looks quite nice and clean. Then you get Alcantara over here with the CS over here. You get Alcantara over here with nice clean stitching. You get Alcantara here and Alcantara on the seats as well. And that looks quite clean. So this vehicle does not come with dual climate control. It does come with the normal basic one with these twisty knobs, which doesn't bother that much when you are driving a vehicle like this if you drive it the way it's supposed to. And finally the seats. So the seats are bucket seats with holes over here and the M badging plus the 3 stripes, which it's quite comfortable. So when you're driving this vehicle hard on the corners, it's gonna grip you perfectly.
Okay, now space at the back. If you look inside, honestly it's decent. Now this car has more space at the back compared to the RS5 and the C63S, so in that field this car definitely takes the triumph. Okay, so let's talk about tech within this car. You do get 2 analog displays and a small digital display over there, but that's okay because you get a revised infotainment here, which is a touchscreen, which is quite nice. All of these buttons are programmable. For example, if I press 1, it's going to go into Apple CarPlay. 2, that, and 3, you can select between anything that you would like. Your basic AC controls are here. Now it is good that they kept the AC controls as buttons, because honestly when you're driving that's so much easier to adjust. Now this is where you get all of your proper driving settings. So this is your engine, suspension, steering and transmission settings, so you can change it. So for example, if you click that, it's going to show up right there, which is quite nice. And your gear selector is from a standard M car, not a standard M car but a proper M car, and it is quite beautiful. And you also get cruise control, which is quite nice. And honestly when you're driving this car, it doesn't really need lane keep assist, because you don't buy this car to drive it every day, you buy it to drive it crazy on the weekends. Okay, let's talk about the cool features of this car, starting with the fact that this is very exclusive. Now there were only 45 delivered here in Australia and they don't continue this anymore. You do get the G80 M4s, but in a few years when everything goes hybrid or electric and you want a proper sports car, this will be one of them. And in probably 10 years, these cars will definitely appreciate. Another cool feature is the fact that this lights up at night, which is quite beautiful. And this, you get M stitching on the seat belts as well, which is perfect because that just shows how much attention to detail they put into this car. And the final cool feature being when you are properly driving this car, especially when you get to higher RPMs, there is a shift indicator which helps you with the driving.
So the first annoying feature of this car is that this car, the key, it's quite basic, so they could have done a better job with it. So the final annoying feature of this vehicle is that BMW excluded a few things to make this vehicle as light as possible, which we get why they did it, but they've excluded things like dual climate control, they've excluded speakers, they've excluded armrests. If you're driving on a cruise, you're going to be doing like a bit of a chicken dance. They've also excluded grab handles on the doors. So there's this strap, so you gotta like pull the door, and then it's a bit annoying, but we all get why they did it, and it's not that bad.
Okay, let's go for a drive in the M4CS. Starting with everything being on comfort mode. Now, a very good thing about this car is it's very easy to switch between the different modes and basically change your suspension, steering and engine responsiveness as well, because all you have to do is just click 3 buttons here, which is quite easy compared to having to adjust it from a touchscreen. Okay, let's start with comfort mode. The very first thing I have to mention is on comfort mode, driving is bearable. Now, this is a proper track focus car, but driving it feels like you could daily drive this car. Honestly, the throttle response is actually quite smooth for a car which has a lot of horsepower and a lot of torque as well. So on comfort mode, it is quite nice to drive. So if you're daily driving this, so if you buy a M4CS and you want to daily drive it, it'll do the job perfectly. And now steering on comfort mode is quite soft, and as you change the mode it does get heavier. That's to make driving a bit more interactive. But on comfort mode it is quite nice. The suspension is quite soft. It's not the softest compared to the RS5, I would have to say, but it's still bearable. So daily driving this car would honestly be okay. Now let's get to sports mode. So all you have to do is select the different modes from here. So starting with the engine, so engine's on sport mode now, suspension sports mode, and steering I would like to keep that on comfort, but for this test I'm gonna change it to sport. The second you change it to sport, it does get heavier. And your gearbox responsiveness, so this is where you get your gearbox settings. And to jump onto manual mode, all you have to do is just flick the pedal. We are on a very busy road unfortunately, so this is not going to be a proper driving test, just during the low RPMs. So compared to the M4 competition, this did get 10% more torque, and all of that torque is applied in the mid-range of the mid-range when it comes to revving. Now that was because people complained that the M4 competition didn't have much power mid-range, but they've added the 10% to this car now, especially in the mid-range. I said the word mid-range too much, but that's why they did solve this problem. So even on 2000 RPM, this car delivers enough power. You don't have to get to high RPMs. The way it sounds, it does sound quite nice. And acceleration, so we do have a bit of space here. Let's just see what that's like. Quite responsive, and it sounds absolutely brutal. Now it's not a V8 unlike its competitors, the RS5 and not the RS5, the C63, but this sounds amazing. Now steering, it is heavy on sports mode and it is quite responsive. Now we are not on a windy road unlike where we tested the RS5 and C63S, but judging by just the way it just responds, we can say that it's quite snappy. And finally, something I do like about this gearbox is its responsiveness. It is dual clutch, which is quite nice, and the only other dual clutch was on the RS5. The C63S had a single clutch. Wait, did it? No, it had MCT. That's my mistake. Now, responsiveness of the steering, of the transmission. Fourth gear. Wait, let's just shift down. Fourth, third, second. Quite responsive. It's literally instant. It's very snappy as well. Let's shift up and see how it performs on second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth, and that wasn't even at high RPMs, and it shifts like so. Gearbox is quite amazing, and this is the first BMW M car that we tested in the channel, and it lives up to its expectation. And overall driving, I would have to say, I think the C63S is a bit more raw compared to this car. This car gives you enough confidence, just like the RS5. So the very common thing between the RS5 and this car is the fact that it gives you a lot of confidence, especially when you're getting through the corners. But the C63S, that's very tail happy. Now that car wants to kill you. Oh, we are doing 10% over the speed limit, which if you don't snitch, will be good. So that's where we tested the acceleration a bit, and it did surprise me. So overall, I would have to say, driving wise, C63S is more raw, it's more fun, and this and the RS5 is a bit more controlled. It is very similar to the RS5 though, but this has a bit more power, which shows, and especially more torque, and driving it's quite enjoyable. Overall driving, I would have to say 9.5 out of 10. It is quite nice. The only thing they could have fixed is on comfort mode, the suspension could have been a bit softer, but honestly if you wanted it to be softer, you could have just bought the normal M4. So overall 9.5, that's a pretty good number, and let's get on to our final thoughts. Okay, final thoughts on the M4CS. Gavin, do you want to start?
Yeah, so this car looks like an absolute beast. It drives like an absolute beast.
Yep.
It feels like an absolute beast, and this is a proper M car, and I love it. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I mean, I think I told about the RS5 when you got it, that I thought that was the best one.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I had to buy
out of the three, which one would you get?
Out of the three, I would get this. It just looks meaner.
Yeah,
I mean, I do prefer the Quattro on the system.
RS5,
but you can always get something else with our Quattro. So yeah, what do you think?
Quattro is life, bro. Come on.
What else what do you think?
I think this car looks absolutely menacing. It is quite beautiful. Out of the three, I would have the C63S.
Yeah.
I did say that I would have the RS5 on that video.
I do like the C63S, but I'm worried that I'll be wrapped around a tree.
Yeah, but I think that car was more raw, and when it comes to driving, I enjoyed that car more. We didn't get a chance to drive this car properly, but even on sports mode, this is an absolute beast. But out of the three, I would have the C63S, and I would say this car is a 10 as well. All three of those cars were perfect.
Yeah.
Literally, the C63S, RS5,
there's
M4CS.
No absolute faults in it.
Yeah, it's engineered to be
on par with each other.
Yeah, engineered to be perfect. And this car, I think this car looks the best out of all three of them.
Yeah, it does.
This is the best looking car out of all three of them. But when it comes to driving, having more fun, for me C63 was it. Yeah. And I'm not a Mercedes fan, and I'm saying that.
Yeah, and I'm not a BMW fan. I like this. So.
Yeah, and that's where we'll leave it. We completed the series. Good job, bro.
Like and
subscribe, and see you guys. Easy.